Welcome to Vertical Football, and this is the 5 things we learned here. It's still the World Cup match, England 4, Croatia 2. What a beautiful match, a whole lot of tactical switches here and there, even individual performances from the English guy and some of the Croatian guys. What's your overall take on this match?
Very exciting game, I think, as you rightly said, a lot of tactical switches, a lot of interesting things, really. And I think that's one of the beauty of the World Cup, when you begin to see different, you get that for it's club football. But also you get that with the national team of football. So that's why we begin to see different approaches to the game. And I think we saw a lot of different approaches that we've not seen in the World Cup, and I think it was very, very good.
All right, so let's go into the match. Let's dig this thing deeper. I think speaking about the tactical parts, just saying tactical changes and all of these things is very, very generic. Let's go deep into it. Let's look at from the England's perspective. How do you see them shape on the ball? How do you see them off the ball?
Yeah, so for England, most parts, England used a 3-2-5, that's on the ball structure, but wasn't always a 3-2-5, because you have to understand that the likes of Rich James was not pushing high up as you expect. So sometimes you can end up saying maybe kind of like a 3-3-4 kind of structure, because Rich James was always tracking the run of a Perisic, because Croatia obviously uses a 3-4-3 on the paper, and they use different dynamics in terms of either a 5-2-3 or a 5-3-2, and like so you have to look at that dynamics for Croatia. But I think for England, they used more or less a 3-2-5, sometimes a 3-3-4, as I said. And I feel that you saw different variations in play. For example, you could see the diamond press from England. It was a diamond press, especially for the first half, where you saw the likes of Kane in front, you see Bellingham behind him, you see Gordon, and you see Matchday. And you could see the two pivots, ankles, or the two double pivots. And I think the double pivot was very, very good in terms of they had the right profile for what England wanted to do. I felt that the right profile. Even though, yes, at the point I was looking at it that maybe as time goes on, England, when you're using that double pivot, I think you need a much more creative and kind of like much more silkier number 10 than a Bellingham.
But
also Bellingham also was impactful, was running, was putting himself in the situations and everything. So I think it was very, very good. Defense structure, I think more or less you could see O'Reilly, who comes from Man City. He could play as a 3, good on the ball. Also situations happened where you saw him not just being a third center half, depending on the agreement between him and Rich James. Sometimes you could see him tending
to go
inside. And I thought it was a very shocking decision that Tuchel started with Konsa over the likes of Gueye. But I think more or less they got results. That's for England. For Croatia, I think Croatia, as I said, off the ball, Croatia were like a 2-3-5. 5 at the back. Sometimes the 2-3-5 ended up sometimes being even a 3-3-4, a 3-4-3, 3-4-3, or a 3-2-5. Depending on how you use it, even a 4-3-3 at certain point. So I think Croatia's structure was more or less dependent on
what
the position
England is doing.
And also the position that Perisic takes. So Perisic and Rich James had a little bit of battle on their own. Rich James was reacting to Perisic's movement.
Perisic was reacting to
James' movement. So I think that's based on the basic tactical. Then inside the tactics, there were now different variations you can go to.
Definitely. I think I get a real view of what that looks like now. So now let's talk about some players, because we saw some individual performances that affected the overall gameplay. And most especially, let's talk about the impact of somebody like Harry Kane on the England team overall.
Yeah, fantastic. I think Harry Kane was not just a number 9. Harry Kane was not just a number 10. Harry Kane was not just a CM. Harry Kane was also a deep line playmaker.
Definitely.
I think it was fantastic. I know the first time when he started dropping so deep to collect the ball from the defensive line, many of those passes did not really collect as much, but as the game went on,
progressed.
It became very good. I think fantastic player. I think that's what you want to see in every footballer, the ability to evolve. I think you have to, that level of your career, you have to evolve. And I'm very, very happy he has evolved into that in terms of he causes a disruption in the defensive line of the opponent, right? It causes a disruption into the pressing structure of the opponent in the midfield. Because when you have somebody that's coming in to create overloads anywhere, You know, that's vertically.
Yeah.
You know, he can create overload in the front as a normal striker.
Yeah.
He can just drop deep in the middle.
Yeah.
He can even drop deep in the build-up.
Yeah.
There was a time in the game where we had Konsa, we had Stone, we had Konsa, and Harry Kane was one coming in between them. I'm like, what are you? If you are going man for man in that situation,
yeah, you're always going to be leaving that place empty.
Already, the person that is going to be marking Harry Kane for man for man cannot also make that. It's a defender cannot come to uncharted territory and not come to the. It's going to be crazy, and I feel. It's just amazing. The kind of player he's amazing. I think we saw other players also. For example, likes of Elliot Anderson was fantastic today.
Super. I think you need to talk about him like at one point. So now let's go into Elliot Anderson. Like help us address this guy as a point.
Fantastic. I think the way he was receiving the ball, I think was amazing today. I think there is no role you want a CM to do that he did not do today. In terms of being the box to box, him being the aggressive midfielder that counter presses when they lose the ball. I think it was very happy. I think his performance today even made us to forget a bit that Rice didn't have a very good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Because of how imposed he was. He was a first receiver who come to collect the ball. You know, he was someone that also who could have those. You can look at the second goal. I think the second goal the third goal for England. Because that pass in that channel, forward. You know, amazing. The passes is there, the short passes is there, dropping in is there, pushing forward is there, pressing is there, counter pressing is there. I think it was really good. I think the England, and that's why I say I like what the base was, because when you have a Kovacic, you have a Modric in the midfield, you don't want those guys to, no matter how old they are, no matter what you think,
you don't want them to be calm and have that ball.
To be calm on the ball, because they can be very, very dangerous. And I feel they did some things also that hurts England, which I'm going to explain further. But I feel that you need a midfield that, and that's why the likes of Bellingham, Rice, and Elliot were very, very good, because when you lose the ball,
there's somebody like these are guys who can jump on it quickly.
You don't relax. You have to be there. If not, those guys will just destroy you.
Yeah. So now let's go into the Croatia's point of view, because we saw that it was not, even if the scoreline is saying 4-2, it was not like they were a bad team. I think we can even see it from the beginning. England scoring, they went back into the game. England went 2-1. They also came back into the game, and then all of a sudden England just increased the lead to 4-2. So let's give us your viewpoints from Croatia's point of view.
So Croatia, I think the game plan of Croatia in the attack was to target behind the defensive line of England. You see that from the first minute when they started having the ball. They were trying to play it at the back line of the
defenders.
When I was analyzing it, I was like, I do not know whether this is a deliberate attempt to exploit the weaknesses of England. They got the second goal from that situation where the guy nodded it, but the person that now
came out and it was.
So that was for Croatia's second goal. But I think you could see it was a clear plan to
put it over
behind. And I was like, I want to check how they approach the next game.
To see whether it was actually a game plan
designed for England. And if it was designed for England, I think Tuchel has to work on that. Even though it wasn't designed for England, it affected England into this game. In terms of the defensive duo of Stones and Konsa. Stones is good on the ball. They are good on the ball, but also they need to understand that some teams, like what Croatia showed today, do not really believe they are that good enough to,
track those
situations. And I think there was a situation also where there was a situation where there was this kind of like almost an offside or something like that, where even the defensive line of England wasn't really aligned. So they have to work on those things in terms of the communication,
making sure they are carrying everybody
along, so that when even teams decide to play this kind of ball, you can put them on the offside situation. Offside situation. I think they tried for the second goal to put him on offside, but it didn't really work. And I think that's what Croatia tried to do. And funny enough, they tried it from the beginning to the end at various intervals. And every time they tried it, it was a difficult situation for England.
All right. So let's talk about the fourth thing. And I think one of the things that we need to now speak about is the dynamics of the England team. Because now we are getting to see, look at somebody like Rhys James playing as a wing back in that situation, and they're now coming in to play as a midfielder and is sinking in well. And then we saw somebody like Morgan Rogers came into the game. We're expecting, Morgan Rogers is going to be maybe the number 8. Then you just see Morgan Rogers play as a 10, and then Bellingham come. Now, speaking about the dynamics, if you are looking at this squad like this, how far do you think England can go with this?
I think England, obviously, and that's one of the beauty of having a very good league. that's one of the beauty of having a league where other managers also come into the league and try their philosophy. So, for example, as you just mentioned, Reece James was fantastic in terms of being the right back, having that duel with Perisic and the like, and also now coming in as the game progresses, when dynamics change and everything, as in now coming as not just a midfielder but the number 6, right, and giving room for
Anderson to move around.
So imagine a situation whereby England is playing, for example, and they want to overload. It's a situation whereby maybe the likes of Elliott can drop back in between the two centre halves, and you can have a situation whereby Tuchel might want to be crazy in that day to overload the centre and say, okay, O'Reilly,
invert, Reece James, invert. Let's choke that space.
And let's have the likes of Madueke, or let's like the likes of Gordon. Those do.
And that dynamic could be very, very beautiful because these two guys that are coming in are just not going to be blocking alone. They will still be good users of the ball.
Yeah, because in their clubs where they are coming from, they are used to that. So it's not as if it's sudden. And I think this is one of the things that is also a big benefit to the England national team, because England has always been a national team of playing basic, mechanical kind of football. But when you have that situation too in the center, it's a different dynamic.
You can try plenty things out.
You have the likes of Bellingham and Harry Kane. That can be shuffling. Even Harry Kane coming in,
Bellingham going up front.
And you have that. So I think it's a lot of dynamic. Even when you look at the attackers in terms of Madueke and Gordon, I know you might want to look at it and people might want to look at it and say, oh, they're not the special of attackers. But the fact is they have the speed to attack the final third. Right, they have that speed to attack the final third, and there is no defense in the world that is also that's not going to be scared
of somebody
constantly running at you. Yeah, so I know they have to. Madueke, obviously, I've said it many times about Madueke, needs to improve on his end product. Or Gordon also needs to be much more effective. But look at even Rashford got his goal today in that situation. So they have speed, they have pace. Saka can also come on a good day and do one or two things, right? So they have that pace that will constantly
chop at defenders,
and they can have a way of. I think I don't expect to see any team. It would be a surprise to see a team with the kind of Arsenal that England has that really dominate England in the midfield. It will be a shock because of what the kind of dynamism you can do. Like that center, they are really set. They are really set because of what they can do. Really.
All right. So, any final thoughts?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting game. I think for both teams, I want to watch their next match because there are some assumptions I have that I need to confirm that whether I was just especially one I mentioned in terms
about
of
Croatia,
the Croatia one, but also England. I think England also needs to be more direct. I felt for a lot of the game, the directness was only on one side in terms of they used Madueke's side a lot. And I think I've not really seen that this World Cup as much. The games I've watched, maybe Germany beat, but even Germany I didn't really see. But I'm not seeing teams overloading and isolating a lot. You see the Portugal game earlier, it was all about passing when somebody can actually pack them to one side
and switch quickly.
I think we need to see more. I don't think that has gone out of tradition in football where you can overload and isolate. I think we need to see that, and I think that England team will be nice because imagine Madueke pushes them
on one side,
and then when they are there, you have someone like Elliott that can push to that side and cause problem.
All right. So one last question before we round the whole thing up. I'm looking at, we saw this game in a dynamic where Croatia is not a team that wants to sit back against you. They are also very comfortable using the ball and bringing the game to you. Do you, looking at what you have seen with England today, how do you think they play against a low block team?
So that would be a very, very interesting thing to see. But I think, as we said earlier, they have dynamism that they can use to affect. I think, but also, if they are playing against a low block side, the profiles of the players they choose to use will also have to be different. Exactly. But I think the likes of Harry Kane, it won't be easy like that because Harry Kane can just come out. For example, let me even give preference to the second goal that he scored, the corner kick. You see how I don't know how you don't mark Harry Kane in a corner like that. Harry Kane of all people, you don't mark him at all and have that freedom. So that kind of situation, Harry Kane will not be like Ronaldo in Portugal's side that was just there. No. Come out,
link up, create something,
and they should cause problems. Even though I believe that maybe the winger selections they have, might also be a problem. But also they have different dynamics in terms of even the O'Reillys
can overload, running behind, and do all of this kind of.
It's going to be something to watch. Really. I know it's good. There's going to be a lot more difficult for them than what we saw today. But we are looking.
Yeah, so thank you very much for those analyses. So guys, thank you very much for sticking with us. This is brought to you by Vertical Football. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done that. We see you some other time. Namaste.